there's many people I've talked to that they've had everything they've ever wanted, and then boom, it's all gone. And they're like, uh-oh. And now they have reevaluated that. They've gotten it all back plus some. And it's because they were looking at their goals. They were looking at what they wanted to do. They adjusted where they needed to.
Hey everyone, it's good to see you guys today. Welcome to the community with eXp Realty. We are so excited you guys are here today. Yeah, whoop, whoop. I see Cassie up there. What's up? All right, man, this is going to be a great day, and I'm so excited all of you are joining us. We have Jason Giles in the house. We're going to be talking about some 4 elements that can really affect your business, and we talked about this beforehand, and I have to agree, this like holistic approach to life and business is so powerful and important. We're going to be really digging in today on what does that even mean? What is holistic, Jeff? And what is this like wheel of life and all these cool things? And I really love it. And Jason's got this on lock. So we're going to really be able to talk today about how does that impact you? How does it impact your business? And I love that. And always appreciate our leaders pouring into the community. I am so excited about this content today because you always see it, right? Like you coach a lot of agents. There's this concept of if I can just be successful in business, then everything else will work out. And that's feels like maybe it's missing something. Am I kind of on the track here?
Absolutely. And it's funny because I didn't realize this until I was coaching and mentoring an agent that was brand new. And then he brought this up to me, and this was about 3-4 years ago. And I was like, you know what? I'm so focused on one thing that I'm missing on the others. And then I realized by missing on the others, I wasn't as focused as I thought on the one thing. So yeah, you're right on the right track, Jeff.
I love it. Well, listen, I know you've got some screen share stuff. Let me pop out of the way, but yeah, as you know, I'll just constantly interrupt you as you go.
So I'm going to start my screen share right now. And for those of you that haven't met me, I don't usually like to talk. So this is really hard for me to do these. And sometimes I get just a little bit emotional and I just take a quick breath and then I come back to it, right? Because to me, this is important. I've been given it, an opportunity that I wouldn't have otherwise had if I had not joined with my upline, if I had not joined with the community, with Jeff and Lexi and all of you guys, to not just to be able to do these, but then also to attend them and learn something from them. So while I do these, the reality is I'm learning as we go too, right? There's something that I take away from doing this that I was like, man, that's an aha. And I've got to write that down. So don't be surprised if you see me look over to the right and start scribbling something down, because this is for all of us, So I really hope, and I'm grateful for all of your guys' time, that at the end of this, there's something that you've taken away and that you can do it. So I'll start us off with this. I met somebody about 15 years ago, and he said, well, one of the biggest mistakes that he made, and he feels a lot of people make, is they try to change too many things at once. I'm going to change this. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing that. And then all of a sudden they get bogged down because not any one of those things is working out to what they believed it was going to be. So, we do a lot of coaching on here about business, about leads, about what do we do, about for sale by owners. And I thought maybe it was time to start talking about a little bit more than just our real estate business. So thank you, everybody. And Liz promised me, she said, Jason, I will take the last 45 minutes of this and I will do all the talking. I said, thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate that. So at 9:45, I'm going to head out. Okay. So thank you, Liz.
Whatever you need.
Right. You got it. I appreciate it. So everybody can see my screen here.
We can see it perfectly.
All right. Fantastic. So this little baby girl that you see over here on the right-hand side, that's my little baby. She has 8 other siblings. They're all boys. So she has 8 big brothers, and we've got that little girl. We were actually out at a park hanging out, and we decided to take a photo. Now, it looks like she's pointing at my photo, but the reality is she's trying to hit the off button, because that's what she does. Every time we call Oma, Grandma, or whoever we're calling, she says hi, and then she tries to hang up on them. And they always think it's me, and I take the blame anyway. So 4 elements of success. Let's talk about this. Let's get into it. I love participation. I want to learn as well. So, what do successful people do? From reading different books, masterminding with different highly successful people. And I want to put this out there, success, it's achieving your goal. That's what the meaning of success is. So to me, I've always believed if your goal is to make $50,000 a year, own a home, go on a 2-week vacation, every year and just do what you enjoy doing, then you're successful. If your goal is to make $1 million a year and you hit that goal, then you're successful. So it's not, to me, success isn't geared around just money, but it's geared around just life in general. What is it that you're after? So, successful people, after talking with them, what do? They have a daily schedule, and they stick to that schedule. A great work-life balance. I think a lot of us can agree here that being in real estate, that's probably the toughest one, right? How do I have a work-life balance when someone wants to see a house Saturday at noon and I've got my son's birthday at 1 o'clock? Well, I've got to make that birthday party. I can't miss that, right? But then we also have to provide for our family. So, understanding a great work-life balance, leisure time. Sometimes leisure time is really just maybe taking 15 minutes to yourself. Maybe that's just, you find a game that you like to play on your phone that you limit how much you're on there. You just zone out and you just have that time to yourself. It's not so much just, I'm going to go on so many vacations. It's sometimes just taking that 10 or 15-minute breather to yourself to get back to what you need to do. Prioritize. This is a big one. Now, I think that, when I first put this down and I said prioritize, the first thing that came to my mind was business. And then I thought, well, that's not really what we're just talking about today, but that's kind of the mindset that we get into. Everything revolves around our business. And the goal today is to try to help us realize that there's so many other things that are going to help us in our business if we prioritize those as well. Say no. Like, that's a big one. Sometimes somebody asks us for something. Our first response is we just want to be a pleaser. We want to take care of it. And we say yes. When really there's a lot of power and there's a lot of freedom in knowing when to say no. And especially in our business, someone says, hey, can you show me this house at 8 o'clock? No, I haven't talked to the lender yet. I'm pretty sure I'm approved. I'm pretty sure I can do this. Hey, you know what? That's not going to work out. This is what we need to do first. Sometimes just saying that word is very powerful. Personal life. I'm part of this presentation is about personal life. We won't go into too much of that, but for all of us, I'm sure there's things that we would love to work on in our personal life. Identify those things. Take the time. That's part of prioritizing, right? And I really believe that the personal life is what we need to prioritize first. Once we do that, everything else will fall in place. Exercise. We're going to talk more on that, and we'll get into what my journey has been the last 2 years. Arnold Schwarzenegger has been calling me up, asking me how I've been doing it. I said, listen, you're an amateur, buddy. I can't help you at this point. Education daily. So here's Education daily. It's on a lot of things, right? I started reading books and I really enjoy it. And the funny thing is that when something seems to not be going the way I thought it was going to go, I pick up my book, I zone out, and I start reading it, and things start seeming to come together. Mastermind. That's why we're here. This isn't just about Jason or Jeff or whoever else is doing the presentation to continue to talk like I do. It's about masterminding. Jump on in, say something. Nothing is the wrong thing to say, right? It hurts us even more if we don't ask, if we don't say something. So, this is a few things that successful people do: the work-life balance, their leisure time, prioritizing family, masterminding, educating daily. So,
hey, Jason. Ahead, yeah. I saw that word mastermind on there, and it's this idea of connecting with other people who have similar goals, right? And I think that this is a really interesting topic because sometimes we hear the word mastermind and we assume we're going to be talked at. And this is a mastermind of sorts. It's a little bit more one-directional in some ways, right? Like, we leave it so that everybody can unmute on here if you're on the live, which is incredible. And by the way, we want it to be that way. If Liz has a comment, I want her to just unmute and boom, bust in, interrupt. It's awesome because it kind of creates some dynamism to the call. But I want you guys to know, like, this concept can play out in your daily life. There are people around you who want to see you be successful. By the way, especially if you're in EXP, because of our business model, it's literally a rising tide lifts all ships. You're surrounded by people who want to see you win at the highest level. So, but you need to be thinking, who is it that have achieved goals or have achieved a life status or have achieved a lifestyle or have achieved a physical fitness that I want to achieve, or that I believe I want to achieve even. And let me just surround myself with some of those people. Jason and I were talking earlier, we called it our board of directors. Like, you need to have your board of directors around you, and you don't have to pay those people. They need to want your success. And if you can start finding those and collect them, like they are, like honestly, like they are worth gold. Every single one of those people should be worth $10 million in your mind, right? That's what that relationship is worth. And then treat it accordingly. Those people will pour into you. I have people like that who I just call, honestly, nobody on this call would know who they are. Many of them are outside of industry. It doesn't matter. And I call them to run ideas past them. Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Don't do that. Okay, why not? Right? Or do that. That's great. Or go faster, or pump the brakes, or whatever. And in some cases, you can pay to be part of a mastermind group. But I will tell you guys, you're already part of one. Just dig in and be part of the big conversation. Don't be afraid to talk to people where you aspire to go. But Jason and I said this earlier when we were chatting, just don't take advice from somebody where you wouldn't want to trade places with them, right? Like if you find yourself imitating somebody that is either a trash human being or they have garbage results, what? Like why? It makes no sense, right? All right, sorry, Jay, keep going, bro.
That's fantastic, and it's number one, is dynamism a word?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I was trying to Google that as you said it, but it's to bring some more to that. Whoever you surround yourself with, you become that person, right? And, thank you to everybody on here, because in the last 2 years since I've dove into this, it has helped me, and this is going to sound funny, fail faster to get to our goals, right? So, surround yourself with the right people. That's why we show up to these. There's very few times that I don't make it to a core 90 because I know how important it is. And sometimes this core 90 just helps me get going with my day. So moving on. We all have the same 168 hours in a week. You guys have all heard me talk about this so many times. I believe to have a successful, I believe to have as close to a successful, well-rounded life, we need to focus on 4 elements. When we put too much time into one thing, we could end up neglecting others. The truth is that I learned this over the last 4 years and work on the balance daily. When we look at successful people and we think, man, they've got it all figured out, right? Well, I bet if you had a 25, 30-minute conversation with them, you realize that every day they are making sure that they're staying where they need to stay, that they're keeping their mind where they need to keep it, that they're working on this balance all the time. And this is a really big one to me at the bottom, which played into personal life, health, business, kids, everything. When we say yes to one thing, we are saying no to something else. That one was really powerful to me because I realized how many no's I was saying without saying the word no, right? I talked about that earlier, right? Sometimes we know when to say no. So, we be careful of what we're saying yes to and understand what it is that we're neglecting or we're saying no to, whatever word you want to use. It's like going back to my kid's birthday party. I will never miss a soccer game. I will never miss a basketball game ever again. No birthday will ever be missed by me. If that means a client doesn't work with me, that's okay. If that means that my friend who wanted to go out to lunch that I had to reschedule doesn't want to hang out with me again, that's okay, right? So what you say yes to, you're also saying no to something else. So the first thing to me, and like I said, I'm not going to get into this one too much, but I really believe that this is something that we could all just kind of self-reflect for ourselves at another time. It's your personal life, right? I mean, we have a lot of things. I'm not saying all of you do. I'm just saying, me personally, people I've met, we have a lot of things that may be happening or going on in our personal life that we don't realize the attention that that's taking away from us because we're not confronting, we're not letting go, we're not, setting the right boundaries for what we have with our personal life. So, this is one that if I talk to you for too long, then I start crying, then you guys call me for counseling, then I got to send you, you send me an invoice and I got to pay you for it. So we're not going to get too much into this, but really take a look at your personal life and say, what is it that I would like to change in my personal life that maybe is going on that I'm not aware yet that's affecting other things in my life. I believe that putting yourself first makes you the best for the people around you, your clients. And what I didn't put here is also the people that depend on you. Daily, I've got pictures of my kids. I'm all about my family. I'm all about my kids. And daily, I have to, check myself and say, okay, am I the best I can be for the people who depend on me? My daughter doesn't know that all the things that we do for her. My son, most of my kids, they don't understand it, and that's okay. They'll learn. But, I have to know that every day they're dependent on me without knowing that they're dependent on me. So in your personal life, just write a couple things down. What is it that you would like to change or you would like to do that you feel is maybe affecting the rest of your business, your health, and everything else? And take some time to work on that. I'm always open for people to reach out to me and just bounce things off me. I've got friends that are going through some stuff right now that I said, listen, if you need to call me up and scream at me for 5 minutes and hang up, then go ahead, if that makes you feel better. So number one of the elements is our personal life. Let's make sure that we do our best to keep that where we need it to be and reach out to the people that are there. There's several people who always want to help. So moving on to the next one. This one is a big one to me.
Jason.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
The biggest thing I want to put in there is the fact that when you're a newer client, like set boundaries, right? Because with your clients, you find yourself as being this person that just wants to take care of everybody. Remember, you still have yourself to take care of and your family to take care of. So make sure setting boundaries is huge. Turn off that phone at 8 o'clock. Don't take any more calls or whatever, really focus on what's at home.
It's huge because we go back to feeling like we have to be the yes person. And then that goes into our personal life, right? If we know that we need to have more time in our personal life with our family, but we're too busy saying yes to all of these things. We're not movers, we're not painters, we're not roofers, and I had to learn this because the first few years of my career, I thought I was a roofer. I thought I was a painter, right? I'll go help with that. I'll go do this. Maybe nobody else has done that, but I've done it and not going to do it again. That's not what we do. So clear expectations. I love that, Jackie. Thank you for jumping in.
I'd like to jump in too, Jason.
Go for it.
I have this weird echo whenever we're in here, but I wanted to say that what she said about setting boundaries is so true because that's what your doctor does. That's what your lawyer does. And those are your professionals. So if you set the boundaries and set it right from the beginning, they're going to feel like you're more professional and they're going to treat you more like a professional. That's all I have.
100%. And when we take this and we dive into it, it's not, we are business focused, right? And that's part of what I'm trying to dive into today. But we take that same, this same topic and we say setting boundaries in our personal life, setting boundaries in our health, right? It's setting boundaries all the way around because we find when we don't set those boundaries, then we're taken away from something else. And that's a great analogy because, your doctor, they're not unless they're on call, you're not calling them at 8 o'clock at night because your pinky toe's hurting, right? You have to wait until they're open the next day. Then their secretary answers or whoever's at the front and then they schedule an appointment. Then you come in. So thank you for jumping in, Liz. You still have the last 45 minutes. Don't think that you don't have that. Okay. So just get ready. So health, this is a really big one to me. Now, I'm not saying that we need to start getting out to the gym every day. I'm not saying that you need to, change all what you're eating. I'm not saying go extreme like I did, but baby steps, right? That's what it is. Everybody would always like to be a little bit healthier or maintain where they're at. Start off with saying, I'm gonna make sure I use my phone and I'm gonna walk, 2,000 steps today because I only walked 1,000 yesterday. I'm gonna decide to have a glass of water first thing in the morning because it's healthy for us before I have anything else, right? I'm gonna go buy a water bottle and make sure it's filled up and I take it with me, right? Maybe if we eat out a lot, which I used to eat out all the time. And when I say eat out, it wasn't fancy restaurants. I don't know how you say Jack in the Box in France, but that's what it was, right? So I decided that I was going to stop eating that as much. Now, I can't remember the last time I went through a fast food restaurant just because it became a habit to me not to do that. So a little bit on my health journey, and this also correlates into personal life and business, everything that we want and all the goals that we have, they take time. We can't wake up tomorrow and say, okay, boom, I'm going to have 10 closings, or I'm going to lose 5 pounds, or I'm going to walk, 10,000 steps a day consistently. Everything takes time and results. Unfortunately, for me, earlier in my career, when I didn't see them, I thought it doesn't work. Why am I making all these calls? It doesn't work, right? I didn't realize that everything we're working on today pays off, tomorrow, right? Well, I wish it was that quick, but everything we're working on today, it's going to pay off in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So about 2 years ago, I started my journey of working back out again. And I realized that the first 6 or 7 years prior to that I was working out, I really was just going in and doing the motions to be able to just get through the workout and then go home and check that off my list. Like, hey, I did it. At least it was a start, but that it wasn't the right mindset. So 2 years ago, I was 260 pounds. I'm now 197. I decided I stopped drinking my high calorie coffees in the morning, 2 or 3 throughout the day, really. I don't really drink soda. I decided to quit drinking. I didn't drink for about 4 months. And I made it a commitment that I was personally going to go to the gym every day. And I was going 7 days a week. I'm not asking everybody to do that, but if anybody here is looking at trying to do something different for their health, here's a few things you can do, right? Watch what you're eating. Watch the intake of alcohol, soda, high calorie coffees. I mean, it just makes a difference. So over 2 years, and this is where I had to really look at for personal life and for business, if I would have stopped working out after the first week, I wouldn't have gotten where I'm at today, right? And then what had happened was I created these habits from doing this. So now the really cool thing is my wife and I, we're doing a challenge in May called High Rocks. And if someone would have asked me to do this challenge, which it's going to take us about 1 hour and 45 minutes, it's pretty grueling. But if somebody was to ask me to do this challenge 2.5 years ago, I would have said no. I would have found out why I couldn't do it. And as soon as somebody said, hey, do you want to do this challenge? I said yes. And then I said, what's the challenge? Right? I had no idea what it was, but I just knew I wanted to push myself. So what I'm getting to that is when you make these changes, you start finding yourself saying, I want to challenge myself more. You may even not know what the challenge is yet, but you want to do that. So start off small. Start off by taking some extra steps. Start off by, eating a little bit better, making your meals. To me, this is a really big one because I realized that prior to doing this, at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was done and I could literally pass out in my chair in the office. And I didn't realize because I was neglecting my personal life, I was neglecting my health, that my body was just physically worn down. So does anybody have a story or a journey or something that they're working on that we could touch on with health and maybe just help get to the next step? Boom.
I'll jump in. Well, it looks like
it.
Casey's actually, hold on. Casey had her hand up. I don't want to jump in line here. Casey. Hold on. Let's get you unmuted, girl. There you go. Coming at you.
Yes, thank you so much. Health is definitely really important. So thank you, Jason, for sharing that. So last year, I did the Viome test and the Viome. So Christine, when she went to the EXP event, she did the Viome. She brought it back to the team. She told everybody about the Viome. And I actually did the full body intake. And it was interesting enough because it was basically just food intake. So for my body type, it was foods that I should eat, foods that I should avoid. And I literally just stuck to that, and all about health and meal prep and taking care of like what my body that I can have. And I've lost a total of 45 pounds, and working out and getting on a routine and going to the gym is like, it's part of my life. So when you take care of yourself, then everything else comes into play. And so Viome, I mean, I don't sell it. I'm just saying it was literally amazing, and it changed my life for sure. It was the best $200 I've ever spent. So thank you for that. And it's just been a life changer. So thanks for talking about health today. It's really important.
Awesome.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's one of these things where it's like, I think we lose track of how impactful our health is on our overall feelings about everything that we do. Sometimes it's like easy to get into that trap where you're like, I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling demotivated. Anytime you're saying I'm feeling, at least acknowledge that it could be hormonal. And I'm talking men and women. We all have hormones. Men's hormones are different. Women's hormones are different. And we have some shared stuff. But the truth of the matter is, just biologically, your emotions can be impacted by your body, which is why, by the way, for anybody who hasn't done it, if you go through some of the high-level training stuff with Tony Robbins' organization, they say start with activity, because the best way to impact your emotions, if you're feeling down, get up. Like stand the hell up and do something. Do some jumping jacks for 10 seconds. Doesn't even matter. You just get your blood flowing. Instantly, everything about your physiology changes, and that's going to impact the way that you feel. And as somebody who has personally lost 85 pounds, I can tell you that's a big deal. And just as a perspective shift for everyone in the room, if you've got this as part of your own personal journey, that's awesome. I was a big fat fatty. I'll be the first person to say it. Had a big old gut hung over my belly. It was nasty. I don't care. Like, I'm not afraid of it. And guess what? I rocked it when I had it. Okay. But here's the thing to understand. 1 pound of body fat is the size of a grapefruit. I just want you guys to understand this. 1 pound of body fat is the size of a grapefruit. And if you've never done it, I lost 85 pounds. So when I go to Home Depot with Lexi and we're going to walk around for a while, and she'll verify this. I walk to the back and I find 2 bags of that big salt that they sell there for the water purifiers. And they're 40 pounds a piece. I hold 2 of them and I walk around the store with them. And it's my reminder. And by the way, my hips hurt by the end, my back hurts by the end, my knees hurt by the end. What do I want to do? I'm trying to remind my brain, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to do that again. It hurt to hoist all that weight around. I didn't even realize that gravity was my biggest enemy, was my arch nemesis. And so you may think, oh, that's not my issue. It might be your issue. If you're feeling demotivated, tired all the time, all that kind of stuff, that can be impacted at the level of your health. And the one thing that affected me the most wasn't even going to the gym. It was just these 2 short concepts: eat less and eat less often. Eat less and eat less often. All right. You could do 1 little eating window per day, have a small meal. You will not die. By the way, most people can go for 30 days without food and not die. In fact, some people can go for 60 days without dying. It's amazing. We got a lot of little snacks all over ourselves, hidden away in all the little cookie pouches, right? And so guess what? That's okay. We can digest that stuff. But I will tell you, you will feel better. And when you feel better, you business better. You behave better. Your energy turns up. Your enthusiasm turns up. And here's the funny part. When you start exuding that kind of energy, what do we know about sales? It's a transfer of what? Energy. So if you want to sell more, just feel better. Focus on yourself. And Jason, I love that you said put yourself first, because it kind of goes back to that old adage of put on your own oxygen mask first, right? You can't take care of anyone around you. You can't serve other people at the best of your ability unless you're taking care of you first. And it's not about being selfish. It's actually about being selfless, right? Like Mother Teresa couldn't do what she was doing if she was just always exhausted and could only stand up for 10 seconds. Like, that's not going to work out. So you got to take care of you, and then you can take care of others. I love that you put it on that, on one of these slides together, because this is so critical.
Yeah. And, I mean, I talk a lot about this, and, sometimes we think, well, how does this work into other things? Our health is, for the most part, our habits is one thing that we can control, right? Trust me, I love In-N-Out Burger, and I love getting 4 meat, 4 cheese, extra onion. I mean, I love it. And am I still going to have that? Yeah, just not as much as I used to, right? So and then once we do this and we discipline ourselves with something that we want because we want to be healthy, and trust me, there's a lot of great things you can make that are delicious. It starts pointing to other things, because you say to yourself, wow, I did that and I achieved it. What else can I do? Right? Something I thought I wouldn't be able to do, I've done it, and now here I am. Your health is really big. I mean, it correlates into a lot of things, because when you're healthier, you're happier. Your mind is clearer. You're taking care of everybody around you better, right? Because you've put yourself first to make sure that health was in place. So thank you, everybody, for sharing. I remember, Casey, last time I seen you, you looked phenomenal. So awesome job on what you're doing. And once again, just start off small. I tell I talk to people all the time, and I say, if you want to be able to run 100 miles, start off by running a quarter mile. If you want to run a mile, start off by running a quarter mile. It's the same thing, right? Just start off small and you can get there. I hate running, and I ran 3 miles nonstop about 2 weeks ago, just because I had to prove to myself I could do it. So on to the next thing here. Now, this is the one everybody would like to talk about, right? Because business, how can we be better at business? What can we do in business? And especially with some of the changes that I think are going to be great for our industry. It's going to make everybody level up. And this is a time where I feel like everybody should be looking at all different aspects of their life to be better at everything they're doing, especially with some of these changes, to just be the most high-level professional agent that's out there. So in our business, this correlates from personal and health, because I can't tell you how many times I started my day off in the wrong way. And then I come into the office, and guess what? I'm not productive like I should be, right? Let's just be transparent. Let's be honest. I'm not doing what I should do. And then that day's gone. And then what did I do? I let down everybody around me who depends on me, that doesn't even know that they depend on me. So in our business, schedule. And I know that word, sometimes it's hard. How do we stick to a schedule when we've got these clients who want to do everything? I'm going to go back to what Jackie said earlier. It's setting those boundaries, right? It's setting those, this is what the schedule is. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm working on it. I've met a lot of high producing agents that have stick to their schedule and have more time off than I have or ever had, and they are killing it in real estate. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what I need to work on, right? They're working on their schedule. Your tasks. This is something we talked about with coaching yesterday with our business. And we talked about lead generating, right? And, I asked Jeff, I said, hey, help me out with this with the coaching session, because, lead generating, we were working through our KV core and our leads that we had gotten over the last 3 years. Really, that wasn't lead generating, right? That wasn't, yes, I was calling people that maybe some of them answered, maybe some of them didn't, but I wasn't trying to attract new business. I was kind of just going over the same thing over and over and over again. So was that the right task for us to focus on? Probably not. That could have been put towards the end of the day for an hour to follow up with any of those clients and try to call for the 100th time for somebody to answer their phone. Dedication. This goes back to this is with everything. So I think motivation is great. I think it's phenomenal. But the problem with motivation is I can be motivated today to do what I need to do, but not tomorrow. I could be motivated on Monday to do what I need to do, but not on Wednesday. So I think changing that mindset of motivation to discipline and dedication is what's going to make that shift in every aspect of your life. Because once you decide to be dedicated to it and disciplined to it, then it doesn't matter if you have the motivation. I listen, I don't want to get up and come in the office like we've been doing the last 2 weeks and make calls for 3 hours. I despise it. However, that needs to be done. At least that's the way I lead generate, right? So being disciplined to do it, being dedicated to do it is huge, much bigger than motivation. Freedom. This goes back to our schedule, right? We need our freedom, which is going to pour back into our personal life. You've got to break away and have your freedom from real estate. Sometimes I catch myself talking at home about what was going on throughout the day, and I have to stop, because we'll be back in the office tomorrow. We could talk about it then. It's nothing that needs to be done. So getting your personal freedom back and not just being, I'm the real estate agent. That's what I do, right? Sometimes, I've had to reflect that that's who I've made myself to be is, oh, Jason's the real estate agent. Well, I don't really just want to be the real estate agent. Jason's a coach with his kids' teams. Jason is a great person to talk to, whatever it is, right? I don't just want to be, the real estate agent. That's what I'm known for. Education. To me, this one, all of them are huge. And you're going to see my hands going up now that I'm getting really into this because I'm part Italian and that's just how I do it. I am going to get a glass of wine here in a second with my lasagna. But education. So what are we doing every day that we're working on educating ourselves? So to me, that's reading, right? Now, if we don't like to read, that's okay. But there's audiobooks. Get an audiobook out and put it on when you're on your 10-minute drive, right? Get some kind of motivation, educational motivation that you like on TikTok or Spotify, and put that on your radio when you're going and learn something. We have so much time throughout the day where we may be driving or even maybe working on files that we can put that on in the background, because that's what I'll do. Sometimes it's in my AirPod and I'll just be listening, right? What is it that I can learn from this while I'm doing something that I can do in my sleep, right? So find something that you could do to educate yourself daily. And sometimes it could be educate yourself on not just real estate, but if you want to educate yourself on coaching, if you want to educate yourself on masterminding, whatever it is, find a way to educate yourself. We talked about mastermind earlier, and it's funny because I really didn't know what mastermind was until about 5 years ago. And I was with another coach at the time, and every Tuesday they would have a mastermind, and I got in and I was one of those ones that sat back and I didn't talk, which I know it's hard for a lot of you to believe. But I realized that masterminding was a group of people, like Jeff was saying, everybody's bringing something into the table, right or wrong, they're bringing it in, because I may think I have a phenomenal idea and I'm going to start using it, and I bring it in, and then Jeff says, hey, that's great, but let's mastermind on it. What is the outcome? What's happening? What are you going to do? Right? Full workday. So, the reality is in real estate, everybody can jump in on this one. It's hard for me to say I work 8 hours a day. Do I probably do 40 hours a week between sometime here and sometime there? Probably, but it's hard to be able to say that I do that. Now, this goes back to what successful people do. They put the time in, right? Now, sometimes it's a matter of finding what we can do. Right now, who would like more business in real estate? Raise your hand. Who would like more business? Okay. So I'm going to say to myself, I want more business and I can go door knock, but I haven't. So am I really working that full day, right? I can send out mailers to my past clients from 5 years ago. Have I started doing that? Yes, just not very consistent. So when we come in and we say, okay, this is going to be our full day, and your full day could be 6 hours. Go back to number 2, which is your tasks, and say, this is what I'm doing for 6 hours every day. And I would almost guarantee that if we put in 6 to 8 hours consistent work of the right tasks, our business would come into play. I'm really big on activity creates activity. And from what we've done the last 2 weeks, we've picked up new business, which has been phenomenal that we didn't have or wouldn't have had otherwise. But we've also had 3 Sphere reach out to us to help either buy or sell a home. Now, I believe because we were doing activity and we were in the office, we were able to get that business. Because if I would have left the office at 1 o'clock and decided to meet with my friend for lunch and then have a couple cocktails, I wouldn't have answered that call, and they may have called somebody else that they know. So put that full workday in, whatever that means to you. Goals. Here's, again, I'm going to say, here's a big one, right? They're all big to me, but goals. What I've learned is that I would have a goal and I'd say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And what I was missing was knowing what the end result was supposed to be first. Okay, my goal was to sell, 50 homes. What did that mean at the end of that? What was that end result? What was that real goal, right? What did the 50 homes mean? What was I trying to accomplish? Because if we know what the end goal is of what we want to accomplish with that, it makes it easier for us to hit that goal throughout that time period, right? So, for example, we have a goal this year, and at the end of the year, part of that goal is to be able to start putting money into different investment portfolios. So now when I'm working on that goal of those transactions, I know that's one of the aspects. I know what that means when I get to the end of that. Jeff, I know you've trained with us a lot on goals. You've actually the one who told me about, the end in mind. So maybe you could help elaborate a little bit on that in case I'm not explaining kind of right what I'm talking about.
No, you're nailing it, man. I mean, I love this concept. I'm going to kill the screen share for a second just so we can see faces. This idea of investing is something that I think gets put off a lot by agents, right? Like, well, but I just need to sell. And if I sell more, then I'll be able to cover my bills. The problem is a lot of times as agents, we don't get much headroom or enough headroom or hang on to that headroom for long enough, right? Has anyone ever gotten ahead, right? Financially, you see your bank balance going up. You're like, all right, 30, 40, 50, 100, whatever you got, right? 200, 500, I don't care, $1 million in your bank account. And then you have a few bad months and it kind of gobbles up everything, right? You have a few bad months and it gobbles up all of those reserves. And suddenly you're like, invest what? What are you talking about? Right? So there's a couple things that we can do, but having a focus on something is how we can ensure that it will work, right? And it doesn't matter if we're talking about health, that's awesome, right? Have a focus on your health. If you think proactively about what you're going to eat right before you eat it, you'll eat different things. Has anyone ever eaten mindlessly? I've devoured an entire bag of Doritos. I'm talking family size Costco, baby, right? Like I've done that bad boy. And you feel sick afterward, but I'm like, it was really good. And I got like the little cheese all over my face. Like I'm like a toddler when I do that. But guess what? If I had thought about that before I did it, would I have done it? No. Heck no. I would have taken a little bowl, put maybe a little bit in there. I'm happy to, practice some moderation. But if I just go mindlessly into the kitchen, grab that bad boy, I'm going to have it done before I get to the couch. Okay. So that's a problem. We do that financially to ourselves all the time. Can anyone think of right now something in your budget that is unnecessary or that you're not using that you are currently spending money on? Oh, but it's only $25 a month for the whatever. Yeah, we all have those. But I will tell you, if you sit down with yourself and do a budget and you look at everything in your budget, I guarantee there's a huge percentage of money that's going out the door every single month that's pointless in your world that you would rather be holding on to. You pop that into a money market account, which is free at most banks, by the way. So you can earn 5%. That keeps your money more valuable than it loses. By the way, if you don't know this, if you keep your money sitting in a bank account, it's losing value every day. This is part of what happens in the economy. The dollar keeps losing value. It's why eventually houses will be worth $100 million, right? It's not because money gets more valuable or houses are really that much more valuable. It's because money gets less valuable. So the dollar figure has to get bigger. But check this out. If you set it aside in a money market account, and then at the end of the year, you pay all your taxes, and then you sweep all the residual into what? Buying investment properties, learning how to invest in stocks, or put it into a Roth IRA. Hopefully you do that one first because that's tax deferred or tax advantaged, right? I'm not a financial expert here, and I'm not trying to give you guys financial advice. I'm telling you what's worked for me, okay? I just am giving some examples of things. Talk to your CPA, do all that stuff. There's my legal, whatever, blah, blah. But I will tell you, for me personally, when you have a focus on earn more than you need, spend as little as possible, you guys would be surprised. We have one car. We don't have two cars, and it's not fancy. It's got rust on it. I got a couple scratches. I'm not fixing those. I don't care if it has a scratch. Why? Because it's pointless. Because I'd rather put that money into another investment property that cash flows to me for the rest of my life, right? That's what I want. I want to be old, sitting back, just watching all these checks pouring in every single month, while all my friends are still worried about their BMW and making that payment every single month. If you're making payments for the rest of your life, right, that is a form of indentured servitude. You work for the company that is collecting all that interest. And by the way, you're paying mostly interest. I just want to double down on this one because realtors do this wrong all the time, right? Make a ton, don't spend a ton. Make a super ton, don't spend a ton. If your friends all think you're poor, you're probably doing it right. They'll give you that sympathy business. I'm just kidding. But like, you guys need to understand, if you're trying to look rich, you probably never will be. That's the thing. You're spending money to impress people you don't even like. I want you guys to hear that one. You're spending money to impress people you don't even like. Look at the internet. You really want to impress all those people, right? No, we got a band of warriors right here. I will tell you right now, you don't need to impress anyone. You want to impress me? Tell me how much money you set aside and invested last year. That's impressive. Show me the dedication to reduce your household expenses to be able to take care of your family and then set them up for a positive future. That's impressive. Spending a bunch of money on dumb shit, not impressive. All right, I've said my two piece. I'll get off the soapbox now.
I got to go. That reminds me, I got to go get my BMW detailed. I don't have a BMW, by the way. I don't have one. But, I'm glad that I had you jump in on that, because that's exactly what I mean. We have a goal. We want to sell 50 homes. Well, what do we mean by that? What's that goal mean for us? Well, we want to invest. Okay, well, what does that investment mean? Dive deeper into what that goal is, right? Well, that investment means more freedom. What if we want to take more time off next year and we're only going to sell 40 homes, but we have expenses for 50 because we didn't watch our budget. We didn't understand what we were doing. We didn't know what the end goal was because we weren't very clear about what we wanted to do. There's many people I've talked to that they've had everything they've ever wanted, and then boom, it's all gone. And they're like, uh-oh. And now they have reevaluated that. They've gotten it all back plus some. And it's because they were looking at their goals. They were looking at what they wanted to do. They adjusted where they needed to. So I'm going to go back to a screen share here. Thanks for jumping in on that, Jeff. Liz, you're almost up for the last half of this, so get ready. Okay. So it's hard to have a successful workday without taking care of ourselves personally and physically. I really believe if we want to be successful in business, we have got to take care of ourselves, right? If we're taking care of ourselves and keeping that in check, we will be the highest level business that we can. Now, you'll see a lot of people, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, that they're doing really well in business, but not in something else. Like, let's say their health, for example. John Maxwell, a couple books I read, he was phenomenal. He had a heart attack because he wasn't taking care of his health, and he realized that that's what he had to do. And it made him a better, more clearer thinker. And he's produced even more books because of that, because he started being mindful about his health. Sometimes we don't take it serious until we get to that point, until we realize that this is something that we need to do. I actually, it's not that it's as big as the deal as I thought it was when I found out, but I have what's called AFib. And the only reason I know that is because I started working out again. Then I bought an Apple Watch, and my Apple Watch told me I had it. So I went and I looked into it, and we're getting it taken care of. So don't get to the point with that. This goes back to our business of waiting till it's something that happens to us for us to take it serious. Let's be preventative, right? So if we know we have a house, it's summertime and the roof needs to be replaced before wintertime because it's got a big hole in it, we don't wait till it rains to say, uh-oh, we should probably fix that roof, right? So moving on to the next one here. Last but not least, I try to put stuff out to give anticipation of what's going to happen or excitement. But to me, this is one of the most important ones. Might seem boring sometimes. I have to check this every day throughout the day. This is huge. I've talked about it a lot. I've talked about this many times, and we'll talk about it many more. I remember when I did not realize how powerful this was and how much of a game changer it was for me to really make this. This to me is number one. This to me is what you have to start your day off with every day. You have to take breaks throughout the day to make sure that you get it back in place, and you find resources to help you get there. So mindset. It's huge. Let's say our health is not the best and we want to work on it. Our business is going okay, but it needs to get better. Our personal life, there's things we need to work on. None of that, to me, none of it can be worked on or taken care of if we're not in the right mindset to do that. I have this on another slide, but I'm going to share it right now. Raise your hand if you've ever read a book, you're 2 or 3 pages in, and you think to yourself, what did I just read? Anybody? Boom. What did I just read? Have you ever driven home?
Yep.
You ever driven home, you got home and you're like, I don't even remember that drive, right? Jackie, I know that's you. I know that's you, Jackie. And to me, it goes back to our mindset. What were we thinking of? What was going on? Our mindset wasn't on that book. Dang, our mindset wasn't on that drive home, and we're driving this 3,000-pound machine. And we think, did I even hit a red light? Like what happened? So, here's some things that we could do. Read, pick up a book. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Something that is healthy for you, that gets you in the right mindset. Meditate. Sounds funny. I'm 44. I never thought I would have said this, but there's times, I don't do it all the time, but there's times I'll just lay in bed before I get up, and I'll just kind of meditate and just kind of think about positive things before I get my day going. I talked about this earlier. Listen to mindset podcast or books. We have so much time. Your mindset is so important. The list can go on. I realized in the last 4 years how important this was to me with my growth. Sometimes we are unaware of this. It affected everything else in my life, family, health, working out, and business, by not having the right mindset, because I kept just taking myself to a place that I didn't need to take myself to, right? And mindset is huge. So moving on here here we go. I have a question for everybody, because this hit me, and this was about 2 years ago when I started reading a book called Un-F Yourself. And it was probably the best book. Jackie, there you go. It was probably the best book I've ever read, and I've read it 3 or 4 times throughout. That's probably why I don't remember my drive home, because I'm reading the book while I'm driving. So maybe I should stop doing that, right? Here's my question to everybody. Put it in the chat. Who do we feel we talk to the most? Is it our friends, our coworkers, our clients, that telemarketer that keeps calling us to sell us leads? And then I put on there, I didn't know how to put a smiley face on the last one because I thought it was funny. But put in the chat, I'm going to give it a minute or two. Who do we think throughout our day that we talk to the most? Boom, I see a few people in there, and that's it. It's ourselves. That's who we talk to the most. I asked this question to my kids after reading this book, and I said, who do you talk to the most? And the 13-year-old said, well, my buddy Bob, we talk all the time. I said, okay, cool. I asked Noah, and he said his friend Michael, they talk all the time. I said, okay, because I want to try to teach them young, right? Like, because what we say to ourselves has a huge impact, especially if we say, I can't do that. I won't be able to do that. I'm not as good as whatever that conversation is. So I said, I go, do you ever just talk to yourself about things? And the 13-year-old kind of looked at me and he goes, you know what? I do. I said, whatever those things are, like you're talking to yourself about a game, you're talking to yourself about whatever. He said, actually, I do. I said, good. I said, I want you to be aware of that. I want you to be aware of what you're saying to yourself, because what we're saying to ourselves can affect everything else, right? I don't think I can go work out. I'm not going to get that client. I'm not prepared. We need to change that to, I'm going to get it. I will get it. Start saying positive things to yourself, affirmations. We talk to ourselves the most, and that's the most important thing, is making sure that we're keeping ourselves in the right mindset throughout our day. So I hope that helped. Like, that's a big one to me, is the mindset. So just kind of watch what you're saying to yourself, watch how you're talking to yourself, and just turn those things into positives. And it's funny how once you start doing that, things start to seem easier. you start to be in a little bit better mood, you know? So, mindset is huge. And here we go. I just talked about it. I forgot I had this slide with ourselves. And I asked this earlier. We catch ourselves all the time driving home or doing something. And all of a sudden we're like, you know, what was that? Sending an email. And we couldn't remember, right? I'm in the middle of typing out an email to somebody and I stopped for 1 second because I'm talking to myself about something that didn't make sense. And then I forgot what it is I was doing, drove all the way home and couldn't remember what we're doing. Is there anything that anybody is doing on here that they're practicing that helps with their mindset, whether it be meditating, reading a book, anything that you would like to share that's just kind of been a helpful thing for you?
Hey, Jason, I love this concept. And I believe that mindset is one of the most important things that we do. Sharita just said, I read, and I couldn't agree more. That's my top one too, Sharita. I am completely right there with you, because if you read, you're taking in new ideas, right? The problem with humans, and we're all very, very smart, but the way to get stupid as a human is to just agree with yourself all the time. That's how you end up dumb, right? We've all seen dumb people. They're the people who have thoughts and they just think that their thoughts are all genius thoughts, right? And that's called personal bias. And that bias is actually how you get dumb over time. The best way to challenge that is just to take in new ideas and therefore challenge, accept that you can be wrong. Here's what we know. Oh, in the next 100 years, all of us are going to be wrong about probably everything. Look back a couple hundred years. People used to drain the blood out of their heads to get rid of demons and crazy stuff. And we all believed it was totally right back then. Even the smart people, all the geniuses were like, yep, got to drain the blood out of my head. Make sure all those demons get out, right? It's weird, but we used to do weird stuff. In 200 years from now, everyone's going to look back and be like, you know what they used to do? They used to do this dumb, weird stuff that we're all doing right now. So you're going to be wrong about something. You just need to accept that. How do you start to make progress today? So just get into new content. I read every single day. By the way, another great book in this topic is called The Inner Game of Tennis. If you've never heard of this book, by the way, go read that. The inner, like the inside, inner game of tennis. It's actually a fairly short book, super, super powerful. And I'll give you a hint, it's not about tennis. It's a great book. I mean, it is about tennis and it isn't about tennis. It was originally written for that. Turns out it's all mindset, right? But really what we know is you got to start in here. There's an old adage in transformational coaching that says the most valuable real estate. Oh my gosh, I'm going to try again. The most valuable real estate you'll ever own is the 6 inches between your ears. And we don't spend very much time developing that real estate. Think about that. If you own a plot of land somewhere and you don't take care of it, what happens? Does the value go up or down? Down. I'm just going to answer that. If you own a house somewhere and you never take care of it, you let it fill up with spiders and rats, right? You let the roof go to hell and start leaking. What happens to the value of that real estate? It goes down because you never did anything to it. You never made it better over time. And does real estate just stay the same? If I buy a house today and I don't touch it for 100 years, it's still in perfect condition? No. What do you have to do? Constantly update and keep it up to date, right? Otherwise you get deferred maintenance. My question is, does your brain have deferred maintenance? Have you been developing and adding value to your brain? Are you making improvements that increase its value? Or are you just getting dumber? And I'm going to give you a hint. Your brain doesn't stay the same. You're either getting smarter every day and therefore increasing your inner game, or you're getting a little bit dumber every day and you're just agreeing with yourself. That personal bias will destroy you guys. If you start every single sentence with, I think, that's how you know it's all gone sideways. Well, I think that blah, 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 blah. Right. You think. That's the problem. What does someone else think? And have you challenged your thinks? Have you challenged your beliefs very recently? And if not, get into some books, especially books that make you think differently. Books where you go, this can't be right. Awesome. Dig in. Because the more you do that about business, about life, about weight loss, about all the stuff we're talking about today, all of these different things can be challenged. And the best way to do it is to get into someone else's thoughts. If you're not into books, reading with your eyeballs, because maybe you have bad vision or whatever, doesn't matter. Fine. Maybe audiobooks will work for you. Maybe visual podcasts. I just got into the Diary of a CEO. It's awesome, awesome podcast, right? I'm watching that one. That's incredible. Why? They're smart people with differing thoughts than my own. That's incredible. All right. I just want to double down on this one though, Jay, because I know for a fact, if you start in here and you start working on your mindset, what are your beliefs? Also, check yourself. How many things that you say every day are negative versus positive? Just start keeping track. Do you find yourself bitching about everything instead of just saying how great things are? By the way, for every single thing that you're bitching about, there's something positive out there that you could be saying. The is so bad that this is sucks. Yeah. Awesome. Your life is going to suck because you just decided. I mean, honestly, I'm trying to just pull off the Band-Aid here, guys, or your life can be amazing. You want to know how? Decide that. And then you just start finding amazing all around you, right? I look across here, I see beautiful faces of people that I wish I could hug right now. That's incredible for me. So guess what? Every single time I show up on here, I'm not like, I got to go spend 90 minutes and do the cornet. No, I'm like, I get to see all my people. I love my friends. This is incredible. Look at my life is amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't have to spend money to do that. I get to just come hang out and be part of the lives of incredible people that I love, right? So that is called positive affirmation. Find yourself in gratitude instead of find yourself in matitude. And I promise you, your life's going to get better, disproportionate to the amount that you sit around and complain about all the shit in your life. Don't do that anymore. Just let that stuff go. All right, keep going, Jason. I'm all.
No, I love it. Gratitude or matitude. And yes, Sharita, we were calling you out. This was all about you today. Everybody just showed up to support you. I seen your comment in the chat there. Your mindset's huge. Here's what I challenge everybody to do. And this is something that I just seen 2 days ago, and I'm like, I'm going to do it myself. You know, when we talk about change and we talk about what we want to do and we talk about how we want to get better, you know, I think visualizing that and what that means is important. And it's important to have those reminders. So yes, pictures of my kids and everything else, but it's much deeper than that, right? So I would challenge everybody to write down 10 things that they want to do. Pick a couple from each thing, from your personal life to your business, your mindset, your health, and write down 10 things. And out of those 10 things, pick the number one thing that you want to work on the most. Once you've done that, write down what that means to you, what that goal is, what you feel it's going to change and affect in your life, and then pick out number two. Once you do that, do the same thing. Write down what that means to you. Have the end goal in mind. What is this going to do for me when I accomplish this goal of what I want to do or what I want to change? And then repeat that one more time. Like I said earlier, if we try to change too many things at once, it'll be very hard to be successful in all of those. And I think a lot of people on here can relate. Sometimes we're trying to do a lot of different things with our business. We don't feel like they come together. And really, if we just focused on one or two, we could do that. So write down 10 things that you really want to work on or change. I know we could all find something. And then pick out number one, number two, number three. And then once you do that, put those on 3 separate pieces of paper, or however you want to do it, maybe all on one, and put it somewhere where you could see it every day and visualize what you want to do. Another thing that's very important for your mindset and for your business, talk to the people who are around you and let them know what it is that you're doing, what it is that you want to accomplish. I find too many times in our industry, we have a lot of outside noise that maybe doesn't understand what we're doing or what we have to do it. And shame on us for maybe not having those right expectations with those people, whether it be our spouse or our kids or our coworker. This is what we're doing. This is what we're working on. This is what's important to me. And have that support from those people. Have that support of what you're doing. And, you know, make sure you're talking to people that are going to tell you exactly what should be said, not what you want to hear. You know, I've got 100 people I can run to tomorrow, and they'll tell me all the things I want to hear. And I probably have 2 to 3 people that I can call up, and they'll tell me exactly what needs to be said. So, you know, to kind of go back to all of this, you know, when we really look at a well-rounded as best as we can, because we're going to have bumps along the road, it's going to happen. But when we start looking at our personal life, we start looking at our health, our business, and especially our mindset, and we find how that can correlate in, you know, you'll start end up being more successful. You'll start finding that you're happier, you feel healthier, you feel like you're having better conversations, not just with yourself, but with other people. So, mindset's a big one. What I work on that every day, just like I said, and there's times, don't get me wrong, I'll walk out of my office, take a 10-minute walk, or I'll go out to my car or go somewhere else and take that 5 minutes to adjust.
Hey, Jason,
remember this.
Real quick, man. I love this concept of surrounding yourself with people who are willing to call you out on your stuff, like that are willing to disagree with you. This is hard for me because like my family, when I was growing up, I was an only child. So I was that like, Jeff is amazing. all the time from my parents. So I got all this like bias that everything that I do is infallible for some reason. We've all got our stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like, everyone's parents do their best and everyone's parents screw them up, right? That's why therapists exist. So first family stuff is always drama. Don't worry about it. If you got yours, some people's is much worse. I've seen like, wow, holy moly, right? The parents they've done some really awful stuff, but it still falls on us to live our life. My life is mine. And I can be a victim of whatever I want to be a victim of, or I can be a champion because I simply decide that I'm going to be a champion and I'm going to overcome and I'm going to overwhelm all those negative ghosts from the past. Mine aren't that negative, right? But what I had to find out was if I'm simply agreeing with myself all the time, I'm getting smaller every day. I'm not getting bigger. So in this idea that we've presented today also of building your board of directors, who are the people who will like, I have a friend who, if I gain some weight, he'll be like, dude, you're getting a little bit fat. And so many people are like, oh, that's body shaming. I'm like, first off, body isn't a protected class. And I don't care. I want my friends to just tell me what they see. I actually want to surround myself with people who are powerful and are willing to tell me the truth. But maybe that's not your thing. But even in your business, how will somebody tell you that your business has bloat? Let me ask you that. Do you have somebody who will take a look at things with you and say, hey, why are you spending $500 a month on this craziness? It's not doing anything. It equaled 0 closings for you last year. That's $6,000 that you just wasted. And oh, by the way, you had to pay taxes to get to the $6,000 you can spend. So that's $9,000 you had to make that you literally just flushed down the toilet. Do you maybe want that money back? And if you have those people on your board of directors, that's how you start making exponential gains. So one of my challenges for today, I haven't heard what Jason said, is write down who's on your board of directors. And if there's no names on that list, man, you better start thinking about that. Who's on your life board of directors? And make sure you got one person, health and fitness. Who's your health and fitness person that's like your idol? Like this person, they're in your sphere, but they're killing it. You can see it. It's obvious and they love it, right? This is like their passions, all they think about. They watch Roadhouse at night. I don't know what they're thinking. they're into it, man. That's okay. I'm not. So I'm not that person for you. But what I can tell you is I have people who are like that for me in every department. Finance, investing, right? Like literally crypto, like real estate investing, straight up selling real estate, business mastery at the highest level. I have all these people around me that I've surrounded myself with. I can tell you exactly who they are, every single person, why they're on that list. But if you have people who are pulling you down, guess what? That'll do the same exact thing. It's just going to go the wrong direction for you. All those people who are like, everything's terrible and it's not going to work and it's not going to work because of this. And they're going to fill your head with all those self-doubts. Are those doubts true? Maybe for them, they don't have to be true for you. But if you accept those people being around you and that's in your ear, tickling your brain, guess what's going to happen? Eventually your brain starts thinking, maybe that's true. 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 And eventually, guess what? It's true. And then you live up to that. And that's called confirmation bias. And then guess what happens? You live out that reality and you say, see, I knew it. And now you agree with yourself. Is that getting better or getting worse? Getting worse. Now, the next time you have a limiting belief, guess what? You're like, hey, last time I had a limiting belief, I tried to go the wrong way. And then guess what? It all didn't work out. And I said, see, that's true. So now I'm not even going to what? Try. And then what happens to your life a little bit at a time? A little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, just gets worse. Do you want to know what winners do? People who make 10 million, 50 million a year, 100 million, $1 billion a year. They see opportunity. They're like, let's go ahead and evaluate this opportunity. But what I know is no risk, no reward. And I know that I'm going to go ahead and make a big move. I'm going to call that lead that I should be calling. I'm going to call that multi-million-dollar for sale by owner. I'm going to introduce myself, right? I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to live way below my means. Even though my friends are wondering why I'm driving a beater car, because guess what? I'm going to own an empire by the end of this whole thing. You have to challenge yourself into a different state of affairs. And when you do, guess what? That challenge, that surrounding yourself with a board of directors who believes in you the same way that Jason is talking about today will elevate your game times 100. I have to double down on this one, guys. Who you are surrounded with, your environment, is the soil that you're growing in. And I heard this the other day. I want to share it real quick. Jason, I hope I'm not taking too much time, brother. You let me know. All right, this is your microphone. I apologize. But I want to share this, and it's a great thought. Trees grow in 2 directions. They grow above the ground. That's the part that you can see. And then they grow below the soil. That's the part that you can't see. Does everyone know that the tree underground looks almost the same as the tree above ground? Trees are a mirror image. right at the ground. They grow this direction and this direction simultaneously. But what's interesting is at the beginning of a tree's life, did you know that it establishes its root structure first? It starts growing down first. It gets roots. It goes down in, and it fights. By the way, it fights through hard soil. It's got to break things apart. It's a lot. It's tough before anybody sees anything. Hopefully you see where I'm going with this. That tree has to fight. It's got to find water. It's got to figure it out before anybody sees anything. In real estate, what are too many people concerned with? What everyone sees. Do I look cool? Am I driving a Maserati? Do I have the right hairdo? Right? Check that one out. I don't care if I look cool. I care if I'm taking care of my family. Okay, now I care. All right. I care if I'm taking care of my family to protect, provide, and lead at the level of myself first and then my family second. And if I can do that, it's my duty, it's my obligation and my responsibility, but it's also my honor to show up and serve those who count on me. It's part of the reason why I'm here. So when you do that, guess what you're doing? You're establishing your roots. Eventually, people will see what you've built. Eventually, the tree comes out. Eventually, it even provides shade for others. How beautiful is that? But not unless you establish the roots, and that's your game. That's your personal game. And if you're not establishing your roots, all the inner work, all the deep work that has to happen, that nobody sees, it all happens in the darkness, in the quiet, all that suffering. Everybody's looking at Instagram. Nobody on Instagram is showing their roots. Everybody on Instagram is showing their tree. Y'all, I want you to know that. They're showing their tree. The roots is where you succeed. Awesome. Keep going, Jay.
It's hard to go after that, Jeff. I mean, come on, buddy. You're killing me here. No, that's, you know, a couple of you on here, I see that you guys started writing that 10 down. I really hope it helps. That's phenomenal. This is where I had to really start adjusting, especially with some coaching that we have now too, is it's not just working on our mindset, but it's identifying things that happen that affect our mindset. So what Jeff was talking about when he's talking about wealth and finances and what you're putting aside. I mean, how many people can agree that when we've had a tough month or a tough time, with finances, that's affected our mindset, right? But then on the flip side of that, how many of us here, and I'm guilty of this, how many of us here haven't really looked at our finances to see what we can adjust so that it doesn't affect our mindset because we're well aware of what we have going out and what we need to do to make sure that that's taken care of. Now, I would almost, if anybody in here decided to look at their finances, what they have going out, what they're paying for and what they're doing, I'm sure you'll probably find 3 things that you're like, I didn't even know I was paying for that. I think I had 3 different Netflix accounts at once, right? Now, it's just small stuff, but, that's stuff that affects your mindset. Sharita said something in here that I think was phenomenal. She said, or better yet, look at ourselves and make sure we're not the ones that are being negative to others. We're not the ones that are doing it. Sometimes we're doing that and we don't know it, right? So be very cautious of what affects your mindset, of who you're around, what conversations you're having. Because here's the reality. If there's something going on in the office, in your personal life, in anything else, and you let your mindset take you in the wrong direction, and it ruins most of your day, the only person that affected was you initially. And then, of course, the people who depend on you. Whatever that other thing was or other person was or anything else that was going on didn't even affect that. It just affected you. I read this the other day and I want to share it here. Obviously, this is what we're here for. It said, are we watching our mindset to where when something happens that was a 5 or 10 minute thing, and are we letting our mindset ruin that for the rest of the day? Whether that be a conversation at home, a conversation in your business, something that you didn't like, is it something that you're festering for the rest of the day that has now taken away from what you said you were going to do? Now you didn't go to the gym, you didn't walk, you didn't drink your water, you didn't work on your business because of something that could have been resolved or taken care of in 10 minutes, and then you readjusted yourself. So I've seen a lot of people on here also put different things that they do: yoga, go on a walk, read, different things to keep their mindset where it should be. And the reason why I'm elaborating on this even more is because all those other things, to me, they don't matter if we don't have the right mindset. It's kind of like when I started working out and I was going there just to go through the motion and get it done with. My mindset wasn't right. My mindset should have been, how can I push myself more? What can I do better? I'm here, I'm working out, but I'm not eating right. Right. So I challenge us just to really watch our mindset and what we're doing. And I guarantee it'll correlate into everything else in your business and your life when you choose to have the right mindset of what you need to do. And once again, reach out to somebody. Find somebody that you can call that could be an accountability partner and say, hey, when something's tough, can I reach out and yell at you for 5 minutes and then move on with my day? Don't let one thing happen in the day that's going to ruin the rest of it. So does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to share and collaborate a little bit here for the last 10, 15 minutes before we head out?
I'm sure everyone's done with my voice, but I'm going to jump back on real quick. So I will say, Jason, you've got me thinking today, because one of my very favorite topics is the idea of building whole people, right? This happens too many times in business where we're aspiring for one thing, and then when we get it, we realize we lost something else on the way there, right? You've seen this in business, guys. How many people have ever even seen all the villains in the Disney movies? Why is it that they're all rich and what? Evil, right? There's a reason, because people lose track of all of their values while pursuing too singularly one thing. And there is a way to raise yourself above that, by the way. There's a way to become a whole human being and financially successful at the same time. They don't have to be exclusive of each other. But what I will tell you is, if you are concerned with success so that you look successful, you're already on the wrong path. I want to repeat that one to make sure that we all heard it. If you are pursuing success so that you can look successful, you're on the wrong path. It's not that you won't look successful someday, but if that's your key motivator, then you will violate certain other values along the way to get there. And I promise you, you're not going to be happy with who's standing in the mirror when you arrive. So what are those other values? Your health, your family, the balance in your world, your children, your spouse, all your friends, everyone that counts on you, right? Who you are as a human, right? Start there, man. Your integrity, your honesty, your truth. When I first got into real estate, I used to laugh when people would use the word integrity in their bio. Now I'm happy about it. Because what I realized is why those people were saying that in the first place. I hadn't been in real estate long enough to know how many people were sacrificing their integrity all the damn time. Have you guys met those people? The people who will straight up lie to you to try to get something to happen? Is that really going to move you ahead? No. No. And it moves you back. Even if it moved your bank account ahead, it moves you back. My dad used to say, don't write a check with your integrity, because you can never get what? A refund. And I promise you, once you've written that check, you don't get to come back. You've lost a little bit of yourself, and it happens one little chunk at a time. Small lies are still lies, right? Be honest with yourself first and foremost. Just be honest with yourself. And that's okay. Honest with yourself doesn't mean beating yourself up, though. I want you guys to know that. You can also be honest with yourself in ways that you currently aren't. Like stand in the mirror and say, man, I have one beautiful mouth, or I have incredible skin, or man, I really love my smile. Or man, I got that one little crooked tooth right here, or the little gap right there. I love that thing, man. I can blow air through it. It's cool. Whatever it is. Tell yourself you love yourself. Why are you so afraid to be honest with yourself about the cool things about you too? Right? We do this. I see females, I believe at least is my belief, looking from the outside looking in. I'm not a female, or I don't identify as one, or whatever we're doing these days. Right? But the truth of the matter is, guess what? Females, you guys are hard on yourselves. What is it about you that's beautiful? What is it about you that's incredible? And bring that back to the world, because when you feel confident, what energy do you put out into the world? You put out confident, beautiful, incredible energy that draws other people toward you, not just because of attractiveness, but because of the energy that you are putting out. Watch some Joe Dispenza, by the way, if you guys want to get into some of that. He talks about the electromagnetism that we put out there in the world. I know it feels like, like third world voodoo science or something like that. It's not. It's not. We all know this. Have any of you ever been thinking about a friend and then that friend calls you? Now, some people think, oh, coincidences happen. I'm like, it's happened way too many times in my world for that to be a coincidence anymore. I believe that we're actually all linked in a neural network. I'm weird. My thoughts are crazy, y'all. But guess what? I think it's beautiful. I think it might be part of what makes humans unique and special in this universe, is that we're actually all connected. What if we're all one thing? Guess what? My ear skin cells don't hate my face skin cells, which don't hate my back skin cells. They're all part of one thing. What if we're all part of one thing, even though we're different? So I want you guys to know, oh, I love that. Casey Lynn says she texts a friend every single morning, 3 things that she's grateful for. Lexi and I do this on a walk every single night. Jason knows this. We've talked about it with he and his wife. incredible, beautiful people that they are. We do this every day. Is it because we're overwhelmed every single day with gratitude? No, some days we feel like crap. And then we say our gratitudes because we're training our brains to find what we're grateful for, right? We've done this exercise, Jason. Do you remember this? Where you look around the room, right? This is your RAS, guys. Look, everyone do this right now. Just look around the room and find 3 things that are wrong with the room. 3 things that are wrong with the room right now. Go. 3 things. Just 1, 2, 3, real quick. 3 things that are wrong with it. Yeah. Pretty easy, right? Goes real fast. It's easy to find. You can find a little scratch on the wall or like a little dent somewhere or something's out of place or whatever. It's really easy to find, right? Because you told your brain to find it. Now, close your eyes and tell me the 3 positive things that you noticed that you just felt grateful for. Chances are you didn't, because I told you to look for what was wrong with the room. That's what you're focused on. Now, everyone look around the room, and I want to ask you a question while you look around. Seriously, look around the room and try this. What do you see in this room that you're truly grateful for? What in this room brings you a little bit of joy when you see it? What about something in this room, by the way, gives you comfort when you see it? It's interesting. It's just there, and you may not notice it every single time, but it's like, oh, wow. What's the blessing in your room right now? In the room you're sitting in, what's the blessing there right now? Isn't that incredible? And when you start focusing on those things, this isn't voodoo science, guys. This is just your brain. Our brains are stupid. If we say focus on good stuff that I feel grateful for, you'll start getting goosebumps. You feel great. Your heart fills up with joy, and those emotions then transfer to the other person. But if all you're focused on your whole life, every single minute, is what's wrong with everything, everything's wrong, my life is crap. I don't care what you're going through. We're all going through something. And at the end of the day, every single person on this call is going to die. Not today, hopefully. But at some point, that part's already been written, right? We know that's true. So guess what? Same end zone for all of us. You don't get to take it with you. You might as well live in some gratitude between now and the time when you cash your ticket. And if you lose track of that, then you lose track of your life. And you could have a better experience of life. And we all think that money gets us to a better experience of life. Has anyone ever met someone with a lot of money who's miserable? I have. See them on TV all the time. Right? So guess what? What you focus on is what you become.
Jeff,
Okay.
you are phenomenal, and this is what's made me better at what I'm doing. I'll do another Core 90 if you'll just take over the mic. You know what I mean?
Oh, shut up, man.
I'm good. I'm good with that. You know, like here I am. I'll take the first 5 minutes and I'll introduce you, and bam, I'll soak it up.
You're awesome, brother. That's why I want you here, and I'm on 3 cups of coffee, so that's probably my problem.
I think I've had 1. That last exercise that you just did, it really, it's funny. And I think Sharita cried some happy tears there. It's when we really stop and we try to focus on what we're grateful for and what's important to us, this feeling that just came over right now. So I'm in a room, my wife's sitting across from me, and I started looking around at things that I'm grateful for. And that's it. That's where I'm grateful. And it didn't just stop there, because then I started thinking, well, okay, I'm grateful, but what does that mean, right? Well, what am I doing? Is what I'm doing every day really showing to provide and to take care of her, our family? She does that for me. Like, it really went deep with me. And then I started thinking about everything we're talking about here, which then I say, okay, am I taking care of my health so that I can be around who I'm most grateful for the most, for the longest? Am I taking care of my personal life to do the same thing? I mean, that was really deep. So, I'm going to share this story before we head out. And it was really cool. We are sitting down with all of our kids having dinner one night, and we all decided to say, what are we grateful for? I'm sure my wife already knows the story I'm going to tell. And I went through all the kids, and they said they're grateful for their Xbox or whatever it was. Maybe they said some nice things too. And it came to me, and I said, I'm grateful that I have gas in my car. And, my son looks, my stepson looks at talks to his mom and says, what does he mean by that? And she said, there was a day and time, a long time ago, that we didn't have that, and sometimes it doesn't have to be this big, fantastic thing that you're grateful for. Sometimes it's really acknowledging the small stuff that it could have been tough for us, whatever that is in our life, and saying, I'm grateful that I have that now. I'm grateful that that's no longer an issue in my life. And that's kind of what I was getting to That was a great way to wrap this up, Jeff. With this whole thing, with your mindset, find the things that you're grateful for and make those, you don't make, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that, brother. Find the simple things in life. Find the things in life that maybe once we feel we didn't have, we wish we did, we have now. And now they're just maybe aren't as important to us, or maybe we don't think they're as important to us. Because I think once you peel that layer back and you find those core things that you're grateful that you have now, and you can manifest that, you can put that to your mindset, it'll correlate into everything else in your business, because you start looking around you and saying, you know what, I'm glad I've got that beater car out there that runs and it's got no payment, and I get 60 miles to the gallon because it's a Yugo, whatever it is, because what we, I see these stories all the time, and now I'm going to go on kind of a rant. Some of the things that we feel we wish we had, others are looking at us wishing they had what we have, right? So, just be mindful of that. Look around yourself, the people who are around you, make sure that they know that you appreciate them. Make sure you're around people that appreciate you. And then just really take care of your anything personal, your health, your business, your mindset. And I really hope that there was some value in here. And I hope that there's something that, you could take away from this. That'll be an aha that's just going to help you, not just today, but tomorrow, and maybe 3 weeks or 2 years from now. So I appreciate everybody's time. We have a few minutes left. If anybody else wants to jump in, except for Jeff, I'll let you go again if you want to. But
does anybody have any questions?
Yes.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear from anybody on this call who has a takeaway or an aha, and to share with the group, what was your key moment today? Because I think there was some great stuff. And Jason, thank you so much for pouring into the community. You are such an inspiring leader, brother. That's why I got fired up today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to just chime in real quick to say thanks, because there was a lot. I got called out on a lot, and Jason's been trying to get together with me for a while to call me out on this stuff privately. So I'm glad that I took the chance of logging in today, because I got called out on a lot of it publicly. And so it's great. I took a lot away from you, Jeff, and I got to say thank you very much for that. So this list of 10, I have 5 things, and my guess is the 5 things probably equals about 40. But I'm going to start working on this list because it's a very important one. And I think I've been hit with a lot this year. And there was a lot of truth bombs that were thrown at me here in this meeting. So thank you. And I have a lot that I have to work on. And Jason, you opened up the door for me to call you at 3 a.m. to yell at you about stuff when I can't sleep. So you better answer the phone.
For you, Sharita, I'll answer the phone. I'll hang up right away and I'll go back to bed, but I'll answer it. I'll say I'll talk to you at 6 a.m. and have a good night.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love that, Sharita. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it's powerful, by the way. It's powerful to be vulnerable in front of others. If anyone doesn't know this, has anyone tried it, being vulnerable in front of others? And what you find is there's actually power in that. And guess what, Sharita, I know you probably don't know this, but you're touching other hearts on this call by being willing to say, I've been through a lot and I feel a lot right now, but also being willing to be called on your stuff and feel something in that moment is part of how we grow. It's right. It's why we have our board of directors. Maybe we're all part of that for you. And that's incredible, right? I have those people for me too. And when I get on with them, sometimes it makes me feel uncomfortable, but I will tell you guys, if you're feeling comfortable, you're heading in the wrong direction. I just saw one of our amazing people, Jackie Twyman. Did you just unmute?
Yeah, I did, because it's going to be one of those things. Does this make me crazy, right? As a realtor, when I go around and I see people have nicer cars in their driveway than what they live in, and I'm thinking, cars depreciate so fast. Like, your house is where you need to put your money in, right? And my husband, my kids, and everybody always like, Mom, what the heck? Maybe they enjoy their car more than their house. And I'm like, how could that be? How could that be? Does that make me crazy?
Yes, it does.
I love this. It's like financial literacy though, Jay, right? Like, those aren't assets.
Right. And it goes back to a lot of what Jeff was saying, the outside, people are looking at the outside. And then Sharita, I want to just double back to what you said. You're amazing. You've done so many things. You help so many people. You do a lot of stuff for kids. Keep it up. Let's get together. This was nothing personal to you. It's just, it's one of those to where it gets put out there, and if we feel we need work on it, that's why we're here, right? You know, we take something away. So now that you've publicly told everybody you've been dodging me, now you have to set up an appointment. We're going to get together. Let's work on it together.
I think that's a good idea.
All right. So everybody, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you guys coming in here, putting in the chat, participating. I'm very grateful for all of you. I look at the screen while we're in here with everybody that's in here. I want to make sure that we bring great content. I've learned from a lot of you. I've met some of you in Las Vegas. This is a two-way street. You know, I want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for giving us this 90 minutes. I hope it was powerful. I hope you have a great week. And I know we'll see everybody here next Wednesday at the same time.